Hi, in this talk, I want to talk about Astro and how you can customize your project with integrations. I'm Florian. I am a self-taught full-stack web developer. I'm working as a freelancer, and more importantly for this talk, I'm a maintainer of Astro since December 2023 and a co-maintainer since June 2024. If you want to reach out in for anything, you can find my links on my website here. So first, let's see what Astro is. So Astro is a web framework for content-driven websites, and it has lots of features included that will make it very easy to make content-driven websites. First of all, Astro ships zero JavaScript by default because like Astro components are HTML only templating components, so there is no client-side runtime. It's just HTML, and so you can write Astro files in .astro files. So here you have an example of a component. There is the front matter, which is between the fences. So this part runs in on the server or at build time, for example, for static websites. And then below the front matter, there is the actual content of like the template, and this is a superset of HTML. It's using a JSX-like syntax, and like it's a special syntax, so you can also have scripts and styles in there. A second point is, as I said, that Astro is server first. That means that everything will be pre-rendered at build time by default, and there is no client-side runtime. But for a given route, you can choose to opt out of pre-rendering by doing export const pre-render false, and then this will run at runtime. And for this, you just need a server adapter like Netlify, Node, Cloudflare, or Vercel, already any adapter that we support. If you know Astro, or if you don't know, a major selling point of Astro is its island architecture, where you render the majority of the page to static HTML, and on top of it, you can have some small islands of JavaScript with interactivity when you need it. So you only ship the minimal CSS you need, the minimal JavaScript you need, and it will be hydrated depending on some conditions you define, but we'll see this in a few slides. Another selling point is that Astro is UI agnostic. Sure, you have the .astro file extension for server-side rendering, but you can use any UI framework you want, like React, Vue, and so on. And you can even use like several UI framework at once, as you can see here. Like this is completely allowed. And once you have a UI framework, you can add some client directives, which uh, which tells the framework when and how to hydrate the component. So for instance, you can say, okay, load it as soon as possible, which is client load, or load it when the page is like there is nothing happening with client idle, or only when it's visible, this kind of stuff. And finally, Astro is customizable with a lot of integrations. And so here we are really starting the talk. So what is an integration? Well, an integration adds a lot of functionalities, or maybe not a lot, but at least new functionalities to your project by hooking into Astro's lifecycle. So for example, you can unlock UI framework like React and Vue with a renderer. This is what we saw just now. Like all those UI framework you import in a .astro file, this is all allowed by integrations. An integration can enable on-demand rendering with an SSR adapter like Netlify and Vercel, as we saw. You can integrate tools like Partytown. You can add new features like having a sitemap, or you can just write any custom code specific to your project. You may not know that, but we have many integrations. We scan npm packages to find them, and so we have an official catalog at astro.bit/integrations where you can filter them. You can see how popular they are. It's really useful. So if you're looking for an integration, definitely check that out. Adding an integration is super easy. You can just use the CLI Astro add and specify the name of the integration, and then it's going to install dependencies. If you want to, you're going to create the necessary files, and yeah, everything is done for you. But if you don't want a given step, you can also skip it, so we don't force it. Like, this is purely optional. If you want, you can also set up an integration by hand, but this is really convenient. And it's important to tell that integration are really first-class citizens in Astro, like all integrations, including third-party ones. This is part of our strategy because we want to keep the framework lightweight. So by exposing this API, we allow anyone to be able to integrate any tool or any feature, but without having it in core. So we really encourage the community to write integrations for what they need. So let's see a few examples. So as we saw with React, you can use React using integration. You just have to run Astro add React, and then you can just start writing React components in TSX and importing them in Astro files. There is the sitemap, which is an official integration. And so once you add it, it will scan your static pages and will generate XML files in the right location for SEO. There is the Netlify adapter, which is also official. So it allows you to deploy on-demand rendered routes to Netlify and access some Netlify specific APIs like Edge Context. A really interesting integration is the Starlight integration, which is as well official. Basically, it's a whole docs framework built on top of Astro. So it's really interesting because it injects routes, it injects CSS, custom Vite and React plugins, integrations, because yes, an integration can inject other integrations. Like, it's super interesting if you are looking for like to build integration. Definitely check Starlight's source code. And then here, this is a community integration, which is custom writing from Enox tools, which allow you to have a code-based routing system instead of file-based. And like on top of it, you can build abstractions, like having a routes.ts file, and then yeah, like React Router v7. So yeah, let's build an integration, because I think that would be very interesting to see. Like, it's not so hard actually. So an integration actually is an object with a name that doesn't need to be unique and some hooks. And by convention, we return a function so we can pass options to it. And so these hooks have callbacks and data at various moments during Astro's lifecycle. So for this example, what we'll build is the following. When you're using Netlify, deploy previews indexing is prevented by default, which is what we want. But if you use branch deploys, it's not the case, because it's not the case. But sometimes you want to temporarily share a branch deploy without wanting to index it. So for no production build, we'll build an integration that prevents indexing using a robot.txt. So first, we want to export a function. By convention, it's a default function for NPM publishing. This has the Astro integration type, which give type hints with a name and some hooks, as we saw. And we'll start with the Astro build done hook, which runs after the static assets have been generated, and we'll use the dir argument to get the URL to the client dist. And so here we can just use a Node API to write a file to this directory. So right now this is written all the time, but we want to write it only if we're in production. And on identifier, to know if we're in production, we need to reach for the context environment variable, and this should be production. So to get the environment variables, we're going to use another hook, which is Astro config done, which is when the config is resolved, and we'll use a Vite API to load it. So it's going to load it from process env, .env files, etc. And Vite requires load and needs something, which is mode. And we can get the mode through the Astro config setup hook. And so really, this is only what you need to build an integration. Like, it's really short and it can be useful for your project. So the goal is really to show you that you can build an internal integration. You don't have to publish it to make your life just easier. So if you want to make an integration, here are a few resources. If you want to publish one, you can check the Astro integration template that I maintain. If you are not familiar with the integration API but want some helpers, you can use the Astro integration kit that I also maintain. If you want help, you can go on our Discord server and look for the integration channel. And otherwise, you can check out the source code of existing integrations. That's really useful. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. That was my first talk, so I hope it was interesting and enjoy the rest of the conference.